All right, guys, so I'm once again on the road. We've got actually a pretty big road trip ahead of us. My wife is going to meet me in Charleston. That's the first leg of our trip, and we're going to go from the coast of the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Pacific. We're going to end in California and visit some friends, some family. But overall, it's going to be a great experience, and it's the first time we've driven our Lance camper across country, so we're really stoked. But we have put a lot of time on this camper. And what I can say for sure is that I love living on the road in this Lance camper. So really excited about the road trip ahead. But one of the questions that I get a lot now that I have a truck camper, I've got a little bit of experience with it. A lot of people that don't have truck campers yet want to know, how does this thing ride on your pickup? Like how is the driving experience? So now that I've put some time on it, I think I've put about 5,000 miles on this truck camper, and we're going to put another 6,000 miles easily on the Lance. I wanted to do a video specifically about the driving experience on the road. So first off, let's talk about the setup that I have. We've got a Lance 975. Dry weight's about 3,500 pounds, unloaded, and the wet weight is around 4,000 pounds. We've got it loaded down. We've got a full tank of fresh water. We don't have a full gray water tank right now, and the black water is about half full. But so that's pretty much loaded down with all of my equipment. I'd say on the upper end is around 4,200 pounds. And the truck that I bought to haul this camper is a Ram 3500. It's a dually, and it's a turbo diesel. So it's the Cummins engine, and overall it's been a great truck so far. But let's get in the truck and talk about the overall driving experience with a truck camper. All right, so the first thing before we hit the road, there's two things that I like to do that really help in the overall performance, as well as stopping this rig, because there's a lot of weight involved, and that's turn on the tow haul mode as well as the exhaust brake. And I turn the exhaust brake onto full. There's two different modes in this Ram. One is full and one is auto. I like the full exhaust when I'm hauling a really big load like this Lance camper. So now that those are on, let's hit the road. The very first thing that I've got to mention when it comes to driving around the truck camper is you've got to be very patient. This is not a driving situation where you can be in a rush. You know, I'm really driving this camper a little bit slower than even if I was towing a boat or towing something else. I really do think that just taking your time, really, I generally don't go over 65 miles an hour with this rig. You can go a little bit higher, and sometimes I look down at the dash, and because this Cummins Turbo Diesel is so strong, sometimes I'll look down and I'm going like 75, but really that's way too fast, because you really got to think about the stopping speed of this entire package, and when you're going 75 miles an hour, there's not, even with the exhaust brake and the tow haul mode, both of those combined still are not going to stop you very fast. So first thing when it came to my experience driving a truck camper for the first time is that I just kept things slow. Stay in the slow lane, just kind of take your time and just plan accordingly. You're not going to get there as fast as you normally would, but at least you'll get there safely. All right, so let's talk about the overall drivability. You know, one of the things that I made a point of is I did a lot of research going into purchasing a truck camper. And I ended up doing the line of thought of buying the truck camper first. I found a nice used Lance 975, which was the perfect model for me. Has one slide, and it's got a full dry bath, and it's just got a lot of the things that I really want, and not a whole lot of things that I don't need. So once I bought that, I needed to figure out what truck I wanted to buy. And because the 975 is designed for a 1-ton vehicle, I had the choice of getting a 1-ton, 8-foot single rear wheel drive or getting a dually. Now, when I was doing this research, I was really biased. I really wanted to do a single rear wheel, which I could. The dealership told me that I for sure could put this on the back of a single rear wheel. I've had a lot of people talk to me about having those type of trucks and doing very well. But my mentality is always to go big, to really kind of go that extra mile, make sure you've got all the capacities that you need. And so after doing all the research and looking at the payload capacities of a single rear wheel versus a dually, I decided to go with a dually, just because of the payload capacities and the fact that I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of off-roading. I'm pretty much going to be on pavement, so the off-road ability wasn't really a big factor for me. As long as I have four-wheel drive for slippery conditions, I'm good to go. And overall, I'm going to be towing a boat the majority of the time. Fishing the tour, it's really important for me to have a little bit of extra room to play with when it comes to payload capacity for that boat that I'm going to be towing behind. So that's why I decided to get the diesel, and I'm really, really happy with it. I cannot comment on the drivability of a single rear wheel because I've never driven a truck camper that way, but a lot of my friends that have truck campers of similar size that have a 1-ton vehicle have said that they wish they got a dually. And the reason for that is probably because there's a lot more sway and a lot less stability when you're maybe in wind and also taking turns and things like that. But with the dually, it's actually really surprising how easy driving this truck camper is, with the dually. The only added accessories that I have are airbags that were factory installed from Ram. And that's another thing, is that Ram, to my knowledge, is one of the only manufacturers that has their own airbag suspension system. It's actually an airbag assist system. So it has the leaf spring package for a 1-ton vehicle. However, they've got these airbags on the rear axle that automatically inflate to bring the camper up to level. Now, when I was doing research, a lot of people were saying that wasn't necessarily intended for truck campers, or they weren't sure if it would work very well. I got to tell you, I've got this system myself, as well as 2 of my friends on tour. All of them have real heavy truck campers, and that airbag suspension system from Ram really does a great job. Number one, as soon as I put the camper on the back, it levels out. You can see it all of a sudden lift to the perfect level. It's got an alternative trailer height function as well, which lowers it down 1 inch if you need to. I was really kind of worried about the fact that after I bought this truck, that I was reading that companies like Hellwig or these other accessory companies don't make a lot of things for the trucks that have that factory installed airbag. But now I think that they're making new sway bars and things like that that can fit that system. However, I don't have any reservations about driving this thing without a sway bar. So I'm glad that I didn't go the extra mile and buy a sway bar for this, because it handles just fine. The 975 is, of course, kind of that mid-range, mid-upper range size truck camper. Of course, you go up to the 1172, you're talking about probably another 1,000 pounds of weight. So that may be a different experience, but as far as my experience with the 975, no sway bar needed. Airbag suspension is probably preferable, but I'm sure that you could probably get by without it. But as many miles as I'm putting on the road, I think the airbag suspension is a must. So the next thing I want to talk about is towing a boat or any other type of trailer behind this rig. That's the primary reason I went to a truck camper, is so I could tow my tournament boat behind and still have a camper to live in. And so far, it has worked out perfect. I've got an extension hitch for it. The boat that I generally tow is on the upper end, around 5,000 pounds, if that. And so the total package is 5,000 pounds with about all the gear that I've got in it. And this rig handles it great. In fact, the overall experience towing the boat is even better than just with the truck camper by itself on the truck. And the reason for that is with the truck camper just by itself, like I'm driving right now, when you hit a bump or some uneven road, you tend to get a little bit of hopping. You know, you tend to get a little bit of that spongy hopping feel. And though, you know, you don't, it's not dangerous, you know, it's still easy to drive through that. With the boat behind, it tends to keep the whole rig more stable, kind of tied to the ground. You don't get as much hopping, and really with the diesel engine, the Cummins, this thing just trucks right along, and the truck doesn't even know it's behind it. In fact, that kind of brings me into my next point, and that's what kind of gas mileage am I getting with this truck camper? You know, with this truck, I decided on a diesel after a lot of deliberation. I was looking at a lot of the new gas engines out there, and I just decided that a diesel was the way to go, because you got that extra power, which, you know, in a variety of situations you may need. And so I got the diesel. With the diesel, I'm getting about 12.7 right now is what the gauge is saying, 12.7 miles a gallon. And that's pretty good with a truck camper on it. You know, there's not a ton of wind today. There is a little bit of wind. So I've been in situations where I've got as low as 10.5 miles per gallon in the real windy conditions. But other than that, between 10.5 and 13 is generally what I'm getting. And with the boat behind it, I generally stay about the same. So I'm generally getting like 12.5 with the boat behind it, which is really, really incredible. So overall, mile per gallon is not as big of a con as I thought it was going to be driving this thing around. All right, so let's next talk about driving in the wind. You know, how does the performance overall driving in the wind? Really, I've had quite a wide variety of experiences so far with weather conditions. You know, obviously you want the least amount of wind possible. That gives you the best miles per gallon, the best driving experience. It's safer. But I've also seen, you know, gusts ranging from 40 to 50 miles an hour while driving. Last week, I actually went to Springfield, Missouri to go pick up my newest Nitro Z20 boat, which you can watch that video in my channel. But I went there to pick up the boat, and the day that I was heading up, we had some really gusty winds between that 40 and even up to 50 mile an hour. I don't recommend you driving in that kind of wind when you can avoid it. But my experience in this was, once I slowed down to around 55 miles an hour, it felt really, really safe. It really didn't feel all that sketchy, to be honest. I really expected, you know, the wind to really push this thing around because of the high center of gravity, but it did a very, very good job. But I will say, you've got to take into account the wind. So the windier conditions, you're going to want to slow down and just take your time. And if it gets really windy, you're going to want to stop and just, you know, wait it out. That's part of the reason you got a truck camper. You can stop anywhere and still have a house to live in. So overall, wind has not been that big of an issue. Just use common sense. All right, so let's talk about stopping this beast of a rig. All right, that's one of the most important factors when it comes to safety and overall drivability of a truck camper, is being able to stop it. And that's one of the reasons why I got the truck that I did. This 3500 dually with the Cummins engine has several things that really bode well for stopping this rig. And the first thing is the tow haul mode When I apply pressure to the brake, it will actually downshift. So it'll increase the RPMs and slow me down considerably. Now that by itself is a good thing, but the thing that I'm really impressed with and the kind of the added benefit of getting a diesel is the exhaust brake that's included on this truck. The exhaust brake has actually been the star of everything when it comes to the things that help me slow down this truck camper. And essentially the exhaust brake, from what I understand, creates a back pressure in the turbo system. And I may be talking on my rear end, so you feel free to correct me in the comments below. But it increases back pressure to essentially slow down the truck. And it doesn't increase the RPMs, it just slows down the truck. And you would be amazed at how powerful that system is when it comes to really putting on the brakes without putting on the brakes. So really, I never have to apply the brakes except for in a situation where I need to stop the fastest. So if somebody stops real quick in front of me, or a red light, whatever it is, that's when I can apply the service brakes. But in general, between the tow haul mode and the exhaust brake, I don't have to apply that much pressure. I'm never overheating my brakes, and on a steep grade, that's when the exhaust brake really shines. So I would highly recommend looking into a diesel just for the exhaust brake function by itself. All the trucks out there that can haul these truck campers, including gas engines, have the tow haul mode, but that exhaust brake has been a real killer function. All right, so that's my overall experience driving a truck camper. It's actually not that difficult. It's actually a lot of fun to drive around. It just takes a little bit more time, and if you have the right equipment, which is the real key to driving a truck camper, if you have the right truck paired with the right camper and vice versa, you're going to be able to drive safely and comfortably anywhere you want. So that's the beauty about having a truck camper, is the flexibility, the freedom, and I absolutely love it. It has changed my life, and I feel very confident going down the road with this rig. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you watching these videos, and please subscribe to my page if you want to see more content just like this. And make sure that you drop a comment below if you have any questions or you just want to comment, and make sure that you like and share if you do like this video. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on the road and out on the water.